awesome when we're live. Welcome to Soscast, episode 64, only here on Valuetainment, the number one channel in the world for entrepreneurs. Soscast is where finance meets romance. And my name is Adam Sosnick. You can call me Sos. And we are here to help you men improve your status, your financial status, your relationship status. We want to see you win in life. And what do we want to do, Nat, for the audience? We want to see you get paid, laid, and do it your way. That's what's up. So let me explain what's happening today. We're doing a Zoom with someone I've seen on the internet, on YouTube, a gazillion times. And I said, I got to get this girl on my show. So if you've ever watched any, I don't know how YouTube algorithms work, but I'm assuming that if you like certain content, more content will start popping up, and advertisers and people who are kind of in that realm will be like, all right, that's where they're going to start advertise. So if you've watched anything here on Valuetainment, if you've watched anything with Fresh and Fit, anything with Rolo, anything Tate, anything like that in the Red Pill Manosphere community, I'm assuming you've seen Marni's ads, okay? So Marni, the wing girl, is joining us today. So she's a relationship expert. She's an author. She's the founder of the Wing Girl Method. And I've seen a bunch of her clips. She's got a lot of insight. We're going to have a conversation. We're going to have maybe even a debate. I don't know if we're going to agree on everything, but she doesn't seem like the type of girl who gives up easily. We'll find out. But that is Marni, the wing girl. Marni, are you with us?
I am. And I love what you guys do, because I think like for men, they need every one of those peaks. I don't even know what to call them, but like finance, lifestyle, relationships, and dating. Like, I love that you guys cover all of that. It's wonderful.
Thank you, Marni. We appreciate you. So we're having a cocktail. It's Friday here. We're in South Florida, just outside of Miami, Fort Lauderdale. So you're in LA, I take it?
I am in LA. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know. Maybe it's a little too early for you guys to start drinking, but happy hour just started here in South Florida.
It's not too early, but I didn't know that was an option for today, but I would have grabbed a cocktail for myself, but I will after.
Awesome. Afterwards. I know you have date night with your husband, you said after this.
I do. Okay. I do.
Well, here's what I'll tell you. Before we get into the conversation with Marni, for our audience at home, you know that we do this show for you. You know, how much do we charge people to tune into our live Soscast? Zero. Okay? So we do this for you with the intention of you getting smarter, wiser, wealthier, cooler, better, sexier, all the freaking above. So our entire goal of this show, if you're sitting and joining us for an hour, hour and a half, however long we're doing the show today, is for you to find one nugget to be like, damn, that is exactly what I needed to hear today. Damn, I'm so glad Marni filled me in on that. Damn, now I've got something that I can go home with and use in the bar. Now I got something to run me some game. We're here to serve you guys game. With that being said, let's get into our conversation with Marni, the wing girl today. Everybody needs a wing person. Let's put it that way. I've got a lot of wing men. I go out single. I live in South Beach, Miami. But sometimes I take women out with me that are just friends. Like Natalya and I went out last weekend.
Yes.
We had a great time.
It was a lot of fun.
We had a lot of fun. And if you roll with some cool, fun chicks, I feel like that breaks the ice a little bit, right? It's like if I get a table at a club, for instance, I'm not just going to be me and 6 dudes. It's like, all right, well, bring some of our girlfriends over. So the wing girl or the wing man, the wing is of ultimate importance if you're out there in the jungles of the singlehood, okay? So anyway, that's my little spiel. Let's get into Marni. So Marni, what we usually ask people up front before we get into all the topics is real quick, in less than a minute, tell us your story, tell us your relationship status, and tell us how you make your money. Go ahead, Marni.
Okay. So my story is I'm a wing girl to hundreds of thousands of men all over the world. I started 17 years ago as a joke, and by fluke, I have now grown it into a multi-million-dollar business, which is fantastic. And as a side note, I get to help wonderful men every single day, which is my mission in life, so that I can also help millions and millions of women. My relationship status is that I am married. I have 2 beautiful little boys. And what was the third one? How I make my money.
Your money,
From doing this, from like different streams of this, doing a podcast, doing my YouTube channel, doing sponsorships, doing affiliates, and selling my own online digital program.
Sick. So you said you started this 17 years ago. I found an old YouTube clip from 10 years ago, and you looked like you knew what you were doing. So you're saying, like, even that clip from 10 years
ago.
Damn.
Yeah.
So you said you started this as a joke. What does that mean?
Yes. So I was at a rabbi's house. It was a singles mixer. Nobody was talking to each other. So I literally started grabbing men and saying, like, go say this to that girl, go do this, or stand by me and look this way. And by the end of the night, people were interacting. There was one couple that was making out. And I went home. I said to my roommate, I want to be a wing girl. Like, that's what I want to do. And because I was just joking around with him. And had he said, okay, that's so cool, I would have done nothing with it. But he said, no, you can't do that. You're going to have to charge a lot of money and like throw in sexual favors for any guy to admit that he wants help from a woman in his dating world. And I said, you're not right. I marched into my bedroom 1:00 in the morning, posted an ad on Craigslist. So this is like old school. And I said, what better way to attract bees than with honey? Sit back and relax and let me do the work for you. I'll pick up women for you. And I went to bed. And then the next morning I had over 80 guys who responded to me saying they were interested. And at the time I worked in PR. So that was a Friday night because it was like Shabbat dinner for Friday. And then Monday, I went into the PR office. I downloaded every single media contact for men's outlets, and I just started pitching myself. And in the first 3 weeks, they had an article written about me, and I didn't have a website or anything, or even a phone number where people could reach me. But I was in the LA Times. I was on Kevin and Bean. I was on Holds for the Tonight Show. I got like a lot of media response. So I knew that there was something interesting here. And at first it was a live in-person service that I was providing to people. And then like that got a little bit shady / I really started to believe that if a man needs a woman on that level to interact and attract women, then he's not really much of a man. And I wanted to teach him how to do this on his own. So that's when I started learning about online marketing, digital programs, and how to create course curriculum that men can take in and then apply to their real lives. And then that's how it started.
Sick. The fact that this started at a rabbi's house.
Yeah. I know, right? Rabbi Shmuley. It was great.
They're all right. So as a Jewish guy, Nat's not Jewish, I am, we can go for days on my thoughts on there, and we will. So pump the brakes on there on Jewish dating rabbis. But I want to circle back to one thing you said. You said, I want to help men. That's your mission in life. Because if I help men as a byproduct, I'll be helping women. So explain your mission and essentially, how that encompasses helping women in the end.
Because all I hear from women is there aren't great guys. Why does nobody good ever approach me? Why do I end up with douchebags? Why am I getting my heart broken all the time? And I myself am a woman who has experienced that. And so if I help men become better men, not becoming wimps and saps and pushovers that women can walk all over, but if I can help them become the confident leading men they ultimately want to be, and like tap into who they are as a person and not change very much about them, just alter the way that they present themselves, that helps women, because then on their arm they have this amazing guy who other women look at and say, oh my God, I want a guy like Tracy has, or like Rebecca has. And then that woman feels great. And she also has this wonderful man who knows how to connect with her, who knows how to respect her, who knows how to be his own man that she can respect. So yeah, it's like, basically I'm helping the whole world out as I'm doing my job.
I have a question
but
though.
Go ahead,
that's
Nat.
how it works.
Yeah, and how did you know, like, because you said you were like single and you went to the event. How did you know that like you were good at that? Like, how did you know that people were gonna take your advice?
I didn't.
Like, did you have experience through like your
I've
failures?
been, like,
were you always around like guys that growing up and like high school? Was that a point
so
of
I always
departure?
had a group of friends, and to be honest, like I had my own anxieties about women, and so through me coaching these men, I've learned more about myself. I've learned more about the women that I interact with, and now I have a great circle of friends. But when I was younger, most of my friends were guys, and most of my guy friends had crushes on me in some way. So I got to see the perspective of the female, know how I'm thinking, how I'm behaving, what would trigger me, what I'm attracted to. And I would relay that information to my guy friends. And it helped them, which I love doing. So yes, I wasn't doing it professionally, but I had naturally always been doing that my entire life. And then, when I first started, it was just my opinion. And then I started becoming a part of, it was called before, the pickup artist community. I was the first female owned and run business to be asked to be a part of that community and vetted for. And so when I started interacting with more of those men and learning the tools that they were using to help guide men on how to attract women, how to start conversations, how to approach women, I took in the information that they were giving out to men. I gave it my own spin, my own female spin, mixed in with my opinion and my perspective as a woman. And then I've also interviewed probably like 10,000 women over the past 17 years to gain other women's perspectives.
So I think ultimately, I think what you're asking is, you know how they say there's book smarts and there's street smarts, right? Like, you know, and then they say, you know, when a person with money meets a person with experience, the person with the experience walks away with the money, and the person with the money walks away with experience. So did you actually have qualifications to do this? Or you're like, listen, I just been doing this for like years and years and years. I just got good at it. So what are your qualifications?
That's pretty much it. I've just been really good at it. Listen, I'm a psychology major, so I have some information under my belt, but I am a consumer of information, right? So I have been learning. It may not be a certificate that I've received, but the amount of hours that I've put into interviewing people, watching people, reading about psychology, sociology, anthropology, interviewing some of the most amazing people in the pickup artist world, in the attraction world, in the expert world for men, for lifestyle, like that is my certification.
Who are some of like the most memorable, best, smartest pickup artist men advice, you know, dating advice guys that you've dealt with?
I loved Richard LaRuna. I thought he was great. I love Neil Strauss. I think he's fantastic.
The Game, yeah, of course.
I love, who else do I really, really like? What is his name? The guy who wrote 107 Ways to Sexually, I forget what it's called. But like, to be honest, everybody that I talk to, I learned something. Just as you said at the beginning of this show, if you take away one nugget, like that's amazing from an hour interview. And every person I talk to, either they make me think about something differently, or I have an opposing view and then I've learned something about myself, or they've given me resources that I can pass on to my clients.
Have you ever dealt with like anyone in the manosphere red pill community, like Rollo Tomasi or Fresh and Fit, or even the Tate brothers or Rich Cooper?
So let me ask you a question. So these, like, that's Andrew Tate, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so I don't really know who he is, but I've had tons of people show me videos. I don't really consider him to be red. Maybe he is, and there's other videos I haven't seen. But I just did a YouTube video analyzing videos of his, and I agreed with everything that he happened to say. I don't love his tone. I don't like how he says certain things, but underneath his aggressive tonality is really rock solid information. Yeah,
well, that's very interesting. So you're saying that you agree with the policies or the information, but the tone is what sort of turns people off. So I'm not sure if you're aware of this. My business partner, CEO Patrick Bet-David, and I flew to Madrid right after he got canceled, and we did a 5-hour ridiculous sit-down podcast. It's got 10 million views. This was, I don't know, a month ago.
Yeah. Wow.
And we learned a lot about it because this is a space that we're in. But obviously he's taken the internet by storm, and he's pissed a lot of people off. He's essentially excels in controversy, especially his tone and the way that he uses his vocabulary. Like, as an example, rather than saying men are stronger than women, he'll say women are weak. So he knows like trigger points on what to do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's making a lot of men look in the mirror and basically say, damn, like I got to get my life together. I got to make more money. I got to get better shape.
Yes.
I got to improve my status. So based on what you're seeing, you're saying you do agree with everything that he's saying for the most part, but it's his tone that you think turns people off.
Yes, I don't like that he calls women bitches. I don't like that he positions himself up here while somebody else is down here. But at the core of his messaging, he's telling men to be leaders, men to be confident, men to not get walked all over and get lost in their emotions because somebody isn't giving them attention. I say the exact same things. I really want men to be the strongest, most powerful version of themselves for them. I want them to set boundaries. I want them to have rules for themselves. And ultimately, I want them to create a level of respect for themselves that nobody can touch. And that sounds like that's exactly what he's doing. He's younger than I am. I know a lot of pickup artists who used to spit out the same information.
He's probably not that much younger than you. I mean, how old do you think he is?
I think he's like 28, 29.
No, he's like 36, I want to say.
Okay. Well, but I'm just saying he's in like that scene. And I've interacted with so many pickup artists who are like that. They spout information out the same way. And then 10 years later, things adjust and they change their tone, but they still have the same message.
Well, look at Neil Strauss. I mean, any young man in like early 2000s read the game. Because every young guy, when you're 22 years old, you just get a first job. You're like, I want to get laid. I want to get paid. I mean, everything that I'm talking about here on the show here. And you read Neil Strauss's The Game. And to prove your point, now he's like anti-pickup artist. He's a family man, married kids. So like you're saying that guys go through a transition, and you're saying that ultimately you think Tate will end up going through that type of transition.
He might. I'm just saying it's a very young way of expressing yourself and sort of a naive way of expressing yourself. I just feel like when you're younger, things are much more black and white. And as you get older, things become very gray.
Why? What do you think will change for a man? You know, if his message is basically, listen, guys, you got to get stronger, bigger, faster. So we talk about, can't be a pussy, you can't be a pushover. And if you can get to this elite level, you'll get all the money and the bitches and this and that. But women obviously get triggered by the word bitch. Obviously, that's not a word that I use like at all. However, it's a word that he uses. But you're saying that that's something that most men will grow out of at a certain point?
Yeah, I think most men will. Some men don't, and it just depends on. Well, I guess it depends on their makeup and who they are and the experiences that they have. Like even for myself, I'll go back and listen to the advice that I gave when I was first starting out, and I was 23, and I was even more black and white. It was this or that, and I just maybe that's my growth and me pushing my own beliefs onto other people, but I think most people go in that direction. People who I started out with in the pickup artist world who were touting like, screw her, don't listen to women, don't let them walk all over you. I hang out with them now, and it's a much different conversation. Like even the guys from Real Social Dynamics who were huge back in the day. People like Mystery, who was huge in the day in the pickup artist world, who was just here yesterday. I had Jared, who's Psych from a very long time ago. He was here. Cosmo, who was the winner of the pickup artist, was over at my house yesterday. They're just very different people from who they were when they were in that world and they were much younger. They just see things on many different levels.
If you're not evolving at a certain point, if you're still kind of talking about the same talking points from 10, 20 years ago, then you don't have a lot of growth. So so I hear you on that. You know, a term that Tate and a lot of the pickup artists or people in the red pill, manosphere space, you hear this term like toxic masculinity. He's toxic masculinity. He's toxic. Do you think Andrew Tate has toxic masculinity, or is he just a masculine dude?
I have to think about that one. I think like when he does, I don't like putting that type of label on somebody, to be honest. Some of the things he says can be toxic because people who are listening to him may not have the amount of information that they need to properly take in that information and put it to practice. So for example, when he says things like bitches or she's a cunt or whatever, like there's somebody else on the other side who's taking that in who's just not going to take it in the right way. So as I was saying before, he's very black and white. He doesn't explain the nuances to what he's actually saying and how he applies it in real life. So that's where I think it can become toxic. But I think toxicity comes from the person who's using the information. It's like how they're digesting the information, taking it in, and then putting it out into the world. So like, for example, when I was heavily in the pickup artist world, I really always said I agreed with most of the material that was out there. It was the intent behind it that made it toxic or off-putting to women or objectifying of women. The content at its core is wonderful. Most of it was based in psychology. It was how it was applied and the intent behind it from the user. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I think what I want to get your opinion on, Marni, is and this is something that Tate talks about, and a lot of people in this space talk about, is really traditional roles. The role of a man, the role of a woman. You must have some very strong opinions, especially if you stand for men not being wimps and pushovers and soft and, pussies, basically. What in Europe, this wasn't a controversial conversation up until basically, the last 20, 30, 40 years, give or take. This has all been. Right. So in your opinion, what is the role of a man and the role of a woman, especially today?
Very good question. The role of a man. Okay, so I want a man in my life who is masculine, meaning that he can lead, he can make decisions, he has respect for himself, but also respect for me. He can be vulnerable in expressing his emotions, but not emotional, meaning that his emotions rule him and run over him. I love men who open a door. That is how my husband got me. He was the first person I ever dated who ever opened up a door for me, and I thought it was the most amazing thing ever. Like it's sad, but yeah, but like I still believe that men should be gentlemen. I'm not a feminist. I don't get insulted if a man, puts his hand behind my back when we walk into a restaurant. I love that. I swoon in that. I think it's amazing. On the flip side, for women, that's a good question. What is the role of a woman? I mean, the role of a woman that I would love, even for myself, which I don't take on very often, is I would love to feel more feminine. And that's what I'm teaching to most of the men that I work with, is even for alpha women that they're dealing with, or women who are, 2022, who are go-getters and doing kick-ass amazing thing and ball busters. At the end of the day, I would say most of those women still want to feel feminine around a man, which means soft and light and girly and loved and cherished and little. That's how I want to feel around a masculine man.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a little pushback here, Marni, because I feel you on the masculine thing, right? Obviously, women want a traditional, chivalrous, masculine gentleman, opening up doors, pulling out the seat, showing respect. That's awesome. That's traditional. Nothing's changed in that regard as far as what a woman wants in a man. I think that's a tale as old as time. However, what has changed, if we're doing a science project here, that's the fixed side of the equation. But the variable now is the modern day women. You brought up feminism, right, Marni? So on one end of the spectrum, you talked about, even those boss babes that are go-getters, that's going great. Even they want to be feminine and soft and be loved and cared for and girly. It's like, but there's no on and off button. Like a guy doesn't be like, all right, today I'm going to be the fucking man, but tomorrow I'll kind of be soft. So it doesn't work that way for a man.
I totally agree with you.
Right. But for a woman, it's like, all right, one day or 1 hour to the next, I'm a CEO, I'm a boss babe, I'm the bomb. I don't need no man. I got this thing. Get that bag, all that drama. And then it's like, why don't men love me? I deserve a good man. It's like, well, what's that masculine energy you're putting out? And then you want to kind of be this soft feminine creature. For women, there seems to be modern day this on and off switch. I will tell you one thing. I completely agree with you. So, and it's very hard for me to explain this, but I'll paint a picture of my life, right? So, I'm the breadwinner in our family. I am definitely an alpha female, but what I love about my husband is that he can still be a strong masculine gentleman who takes the leads, like in his domains, right? That he wants to take the lead. But when I need him most is when I'm not in control of myself, right? Emotionally in some way, where I need support from a man. Sorry, I'm just talking through this as I'm saying it to you because it's hard to verbalize. But what I love is that my man can look at me and say, I know that you're having a hard time right now, and I want to hear everything about it, and hold me for a second. And that's very masculine. That's still masculine to do. Instead, and what we have had in the past between the two of us is he would get really lost in my emotions when I would have my lower moments where I didn't have all my shit together. And then
sorry that I'm having a hard time explaining this, but it would put him at a more feminine level in my eyes before. And that would make me be more masculine and be more angry. And then I would continue on that level of, I don't need to be taken care of. I don't want to be taken care of. But we're taking this, this course right now together called Safe Conversations, which is helping him learn how to just be there for me and support me and vice versa for me as well on the things that he needs. And I have noticed that when he can be there for me on that emotional level, not being emotional, but just being the support system that I need, I can soften and I can continue to soften over time so that that bullish, more harder side of me doesn't exist as often. And when I am softer and more feminine, I can open up and be more loving towards him. Like I want to love and take care of him more and step into that more feminine role. Is that making sense? I know I'm talking a little bit all over the place, but like,
how long have you been married?
12 years.
And how long have you guys been together?
For 16.
Okay, and if you said you're the breadwinner. How long have you been the breadwinner for? The whole time? Or is that more recent with your newfound success?
More recently.
More recent. So, obviously you're familiar with the concept of hypergamy. Women want to date up and men typically date down and, take care of women and women want to be taken care of. So have you seen, I don't know if that's why you're taking a class, have you seen with your recent success, well, not recent, you've been doing this 17 years, but you said that success has sort of come more recent. Has that changed the dynamics in the relationship? Because a lot of men feel emasculated when their women makes more than them. I'm not even talking about your individual relationship, but this concept of hypergamy. The man wants to be the man, make the money, be the breadwinner, and the woman kind of takes more of the nurturing, feminine role in the household. So, how's this changed your dynamic in your relationship?
I mean, to be honest, my husband, he's like, keep making more. I don't want to work anymore. So
make that money, girl. I don't want to do shit.
He's 10 years older than me. He's focusing on his health and longevity. He does he does 3 hours of stuff for health during the day. He's like, great, keep making more money so I can do all this stuff.
But does that annoy you though? Meaning no. I'm assuming that a woman who's working hard, making money, and if the husband is just working out all day, at some point the female's gonna be like, I'm working my ass off here. Yeah. No. I'm fucking doing Zooms over here with Adam from Valuetainment. Meanwhile, you're sunbathing over there like a hot chick should typically be doing. There's got to be some sort of pushback.
Does it affect your feminine, the feminine that you want?
What did you say?
Does it affect the because you said earlier that you want a man to make you feel feminine, and working so much, does that make you still feel, does he still give you that way of feeling feminine because you're working more?
He does. I mean, so actually I feel like as I've started to make more money, it's become easier between the two of us. And I feel like it's made him have to step up in other ways, or at least he feels that he's had to. Yeah. So I would say that the dynamic of the tension that we had was there a lot more when he was making more money. Even though I was working just as hard, there was more of this tension between us because he was working so much, and I don't know, but sorry, I'm going back. I'm trying to think through this as I'm talking, but there really hasn't been a strong shift. But what I was going to say is that my husband has stepped up in other areas. He's not just working on his health and going in the sauna for 3 hours a day. He also runs his own business, but he also takes care of shit in our family. He is up in the morning. He makes breakfast for our kids. I do it on other days. He takes the initiative to plan trips for us. He's doing so many things as well. Could he do more? Yes, obviously he could, but he's doing stuff. Whereas I see other female friends of mine whose husbands, don't know the phone number for the kids' doctors, or they don't know how play dates happen. They just magically appear at their house. They don't really participate in that way, which leads to a lot of tension, a lot of frustration. And then when that tension and frustration blows up around these men, where the woman is overloaded because she's taken on so much, these other men don't know how to handle it. And they either fight back, they get defensive, whatever it is. And therefore it leads to a further disconnect between my friends and their significant others. And that's what was happening before between my husband and I. And now I'm telling you, it's like this magical thing. We do this Safe Conversations it's a template for conversation where I will come to him and I'll say, hey, do you have 5 minutes to talk? I'm having a frustration with you that I want to work through. And he goes, yes. And he listens to me and I express the frustration where I don't point blame at him, but I talk about how it feels. And then he just says, I hear you. Is there more about that? And I tell him if there's more, and then he doesn't respond again, but then says, how do you feel about that? I tell him how I feel. And then after that, he repeats back to me what he's heard me said, and then says, I totally get it. That must be hard. And just hearing that, it deflates that toxic energy that I have, that animosity and that tension. And then he hugs me at the very end and I feel more connected to him. And he's still maintaining his masculinity because he's not crumbling in front of me. He's not getting into a fight with me. He's not picking at my emotions or belittling the way that I feel. He's supporting me. That's what I'm talking about in terms of being more emotional with women. And it has transformed our relationship.
Got it. Marni, what's the name of your course that people enroll in?
So my course is the Wing Girl Method, but this is something called Safe Conversations, which was created, I think it's John Gottman or Harvell Hendricks. I forget who does this.
But these are courses. These are things. Are you ever like, what's your husband's name?
Jordan.
Are you ever like in the middle of a fight? He's like, listen, I hear you, and this is what, and you're like, don't use my fucking course on me, Jordan. I wrote
wish
the
he
book,
would do that.
buddy.
Honestly, I wish he would have done that in the past, to be honest. But the hardest person to coach are like,
guy.
Exactly. No, he's not coachable. He used to in the very beginning, he was the guy that I was trying to get other people to be because he was the one who I was so attracted to him. And
did you chase him or did he chase you?
Yeah. Was he one of your clients?
No, he wasn't. I mean, he could have been at one point, but no. I chased him. I asked for his phone number. Yeah. And I went for it with him. I really liked him because he was everything that I tell guys to be.
Okay. And if there's 3 or 4 qualities that you can kind of summarize your husband, what would those be?
Well, he's a very nice man, but he has a strong backbone. He's very confident in who he is and he knows his self-worth and he's not afraid to ruffle feathers and disagree with anybody.
Got it. And you think that it's more important for a man to chase the woman, or do you think it's more important for a woman to chase the man?
I think it depends where the chasing comes from and how you're chasing. If you're chasing out of neediness, out of lack of respect for yourself, that's not going to feel good for anybody. I don't think it's important for either person to really chase. I think what's better is if you're straight and clear with people that you're attracted to, and then they can be straight and clear with you. And then you can continue pursuing each other at the same time.
But doesn't that kind of lack like the excitement of it? Like when you're chasing someone, it's kind of like you're like on a, like a, not a roller coaster together, but like on a ride together. I think sometimes when you can be so blunt and forward, it's like you've had the conversation and it's done. I think sometimes the chase is like, it's exciting in a way.
Are you saying that you'd rather be chased or you'd rather chase a guy? Not. I'm asking you.
I mean,
now.
I've chased a guy before. Okay. I have chased a guy before, but
did that feel good? That's the thing. So like,
it felt good in the sense that I made the effort because I know I wanted that. It made me feel good because I was like, I'll do it because I this is what I want. But at one point it comes to it's like, I'm not chasing you no more. Like, I'm done. And
why? He wasn't being responsive?
Yeah, I wasn't getting like anything back. So
really?
I was like, I'm leaving.
Who's this asshole?
That's for another Friday.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, so when I was younger, I would have said, yeah, it's better if the girl's chasing you. But here's the gray part. Chasing doesn't feel good for anybody. You don't want to chase somebody. You can have that excitement without chasing comes from a place of, I have to have that person. I'll do anything to have that person. There's a neediness there. Mm-hmm. And then you shut out everything else in your life to just fixate and focus on that person. So I don't think that chasing is a good thing. I think attraction, excitement, that roller coaster, everything that you said can happen without somebody feeling less than in order to get that other person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think ultimately, most guys are doing the chasing, right? Women aren't the chasing type. But I think if you can get to a point as a man where you got so much going on. You got business going on. You got life going on. You got other chicks going on. You got so much stuff going on. And a girl's like, yo, and recognizes the greatness or recognizes the status, and they kind of tap into what you got going on. They recognize it. Yeah. I think that is a very powerful thing. Like, for instance, there's this girl that I met recently the other night. This is actually a funny story. So I go to a concert. It was Rufus Du Sol in South Beach in Miami. And I went to go meet my buddies. There was no cell phone reception. We got lost. And I'm just like, all right, I'm solo status now. And I see this pretty girl just kind of stand in solo status as well. Now, what options do you have at that point? You just like, A, can just keep searching for your friend. B, see the hot girl and be like, she's probably with somebody. Or C, do something about it. So I was like,
you take a chance.
Yeah, I took a chance. I was like, I just stood next to her. And I think I was just like, Rufus Du Sol is sick, right? She's like, they're my favorite group ever. I'm like, yeah, they're awesome. Great. And I'm like, well, who are you here with? She's like, I can't find my friends. I said, I can't find my friends either. Aww. I said, let's go try to find one of our friends.
I love it.
And then and what's funny, this is a little insight. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to not look for my friends. And I'm going to do everything possible for this girl not to find her friends. I'm trying to hang out with this girl. Right. Boom. But long story short, we ended up not finding anything. We ended up having a great time, great fun, awesome. Got her number. We hung out, blah, 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 that whole night. And then this was Sunday night. So fast forward, Monday, I'm super freaking busy. Tuesday, I'm thinking, I got to hang out with this girl. She's only in town for a couple weeks. And she texted me Tuesday, like, hey, what's, like, I thought she threw one of those emojis with a broken heart. Like, hey, thought we had a good time. Like, you never hit me up. I'm like, I actually did want to hit you up. I'm just so fucking busy. And she goes, you know what? I actually respect that. Because most guys, she's a really pretty girl, are chasing her. Yeah. Now she's texting me being like, what's up? I'm like, jackpot. Yeah. But the point is,
I love that. But you did it naturally. You weren't like, again, it's like that word chasing. It's pursuing, but also pursuing your life at the same time. Sorry, I'm getting like trapped in the nuances of it, but I love that story. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. Anyway, we get married next week. You're invited to the wedding.
Exactly. I'm the flower girl.
So let me ask you another question. So obviously you're essentially relationship coach, attraction coach. You give men the tricks of the trade for dating, right? And this is a business model, I think, that is recession proof. Men are constantly trying to pick up girls, whether it's a good economy, bad economy. If you know what you're doing, I think this is a business model that will never cease to exist, right? So with that being said, there's no better, whether it's business or whether it's a relationship, there's no better situation than to get a referral. Hey, I've got some business for you. Hey, I've got a girl for you. So in many ways, being a female relationship coach, or would you kind of call yourself?
Attraction
being an
coach.
Attraction coach, I think, is a great thing. But I'm going to give you kind of like my perspective. I think that men know what men want more than women do. And I'm going to hear what you have to say about this. So as an example, anytime a girl, and I'm Jewish, so I appreciate you being Jewish, especially Jewish girls, anytime a girl is like, I've got the perfect girl for you. I want to set you up with a friend. Oh, Adam, I've got a girl for you. Oh my God,
don't.
It's always failure. Always. Yes. They're never that hot. They're never that cool. Because friends, like, I don't know, women just kind of mischaracterize what a guy is looking for. On the flip side, anytime my dude is like, hey, bro, I got a chick that's in town. You should meet her. Always game on. Because guys know what guys want. They're always like, yeah, bro, she's got this, she's got this. Like, I'm like, what's up? Like, and they know, like, all right, I walk in, I'm like, yo, bro, good call. But anytime a girl tries to do that referral, I'm like, what are you thinking? Like,
I know.
Why would
usually it's just because they have their one female friend, and they're like, who can I pair them up with? They're not really thinking about
so
would
that's essentially my
match.
question. And even like, you talked about Fresh and Fit. They basically had a quote. They said, men shouldn't take game advice from women because women don't understand the male experience and they give you sort of politically correct fairy tale nonsense advice. So is there some truth to this? And what are your thoughts on this concept? Yeah, there's absolutely
truth to it. But it's actually, like my perspective, it's a little bit different. Women give you advice because what they're perceiving is somebody, or what they're responding to is somebody they're already attracted to, right? So when they say things like, just be confident, or just be nice, or just make her laugh, or whatever it is, they're envisioning themselves already being attracted to a guy and then saying, here's what you would need to do. Not from the perspective of like, she's not into you yet. How do you finesse this so that she becomes attracted? So if you had better questions for women, they would probably be able to give you that information, because that's what I base my business on. My business originated from just interviewing women and pushing them to give honest responses rather than surface level responses that they give to most people. So I 100% agree with it. It's just coming from a different place of, you're asking the wrong question and they're answering from a different perspective.
So since you agree with me, which I thought you'd maybe give us a pushback, let me maybe sort of like, so how do you go about kind of separating yourself from being a woman, a very actually feminine woman, despite, I think you're very feminine, despite you being a boss, CEO, like all that kind of good stuff. How are you able
because
to
you're hearing me. That's why I'm so feminine.
I'm listening. This is this very attractive quality that I have. Like, listen. How are you able to kind of step out of your female, feminine point of view and enter more into a masculine point of view, masculine mindset, to better understand your clients? Because your clients, 100% of them are men for the most part, right?
Yeah.
So how are you able to do that?
Well, I think because I've had, first of all, this is just, I happen to be somebody who is in tune, and I've always been intuitive with human beings, but the more that I work with men, the more I get a better understanding of where they're coming from and the information that they need. So even for myself, like the advice that I used to give to my female friends was like, oh, you don't deserve him or whatever, like just blow him off. I gave very female advice to my friends, but as I started working with more men and understanding their perspective and where they were coming from, my advice started to shift from they don't deserve this to, yeah, men don't really work that way. Here's how they work, and here's why what you're doing isn't resonating with them. So I think really it's just over time having more experience with men, hearing what it is that they need, and then adjusting my advice and my guidance based on their needs so they can understand. And it hasn't been
let me
easy.
ask you this, Marni.
Hard.
So since you're saying like your advice has shifted, and obviously we kind of circled back about how like if you don't have growth, if you're not learning, like then you're kind of just like you're dying. You're kind of just like you're not having that growth mindset. What advice has changed from 17 years ago, Marni, a decade plus ago, Marni, of what you understood about men or what you would tell men about women versus now? Like, is there something you can pinpoint? Like, I used to tell men that women, or I used to tell women this, and now it's like, I would know this is what it is now. What do you think of that?
I think it's the way that I advise that's different. Like before, again, it was very black and white. It's like, women don't want this, women don't want that, or do this and that will happen. Where now I feel like I give much more context to it, and I try to explain the different ways, the nuance behind it. I know that's not really giving you much of an answer, but I think it's just a much more well educated. But to be honest, sometimes I do feel like that my more educated version of my advice may not be as beneficial as the advice that I was giving when I was 23 or 25 or 27.
Because it was more black and white?
Yeah.
Because it was less nuanced. You're like, do this, don't do this. Do that, don't do this.
Yes.
So you're saying your advice was better back then than it is now?
I don't know if it's better. I just think that now it's more finessed and it can speak to more people, but I think it was probably easier to consume the advice that I share when I was younger, which is why I wrote down all of my advice back then. And that's the part of the digital program. So they can get that advice as well as the more nuanced, educated version of me watching my videos or listening to my podcast or listening to me right now.
Got it. So by the way, we're going to have super chats. If you got questions for Marni and you're like, yo, I want Marni to give advice on this exact situation I'm dealing with. Yes. Or I would like to know Marni's thoughts on this. Enter your comments, enter your super chats. We're going to do those before Marni leaves us in about a half hour. Is that fair, Marni?
Yes.
Okay,
I can stay on
She's
till
got date night, bro. Okay,
yeah.
So let's get that in. By the way,
gotta get ready.
So your tagline, Marni, is you're going to tell men what women want versus what they say they want, right? That's a very big difference. So what do women say that they want and what do women really want?
Okay. Well, it's kind of like what we were just talking about. They list out their ideals. If you ask somebody what they want, right, they're going to list their dreamy vision of what it is that they want rather than what they'll actually take, what they actually would really, really enjoy and love. So I always tell this story about my friend Jessica, and we were having happy hour. This is like 8 years ago. And she's like, ugh, I'm done dating all these bums in Los Angeles. I only want to date somebody who has a job. I will not date anybody who is unemployed, right? That was like a big thing for her. She was over it. That's in her ideal saying, I only want guys who are successful, who make money, who have their shit together.
I only want a guy that's 6 feet tall, that makes six figures, that has a six-pack.
And you know that only 2% of the population is over 6 feet tall, right? So that is already an ideal that most men cannot hit. That is not a possible thing
only
to happen.
Only 2% of the world population is over 6 foot tall?
That's what I was told yesterday, is that I was doing a podcast and they told me that.
Marni, do you have a problem with the fact that I am 5'11" and a half, but I say that I'm 6 foot?
No.
That was a joke.
I was like, do I have a problem with that? Not really. Listen, I'm 5'2". Yeah. My ideal man is like 5'6". Like that's like hubba for me. I'm into that.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my God. Until I met my husband, I only dated short Jewish guys. If you had glasses and you were bald, like you were my guy.
I've got a fucking lineup of guys for you down here.
Like, those were my men.
At the local temple synagogue, Beth Torah down here in Miami that would love you, Marni.
Exactly.
So how
those
tall's
are my
your husband?
guys. Like he's 6'3".
Oh, wow. Look at you now.
And I don't like that he's so tall. I can't hug him properly. Like at our wedding, we danced and my neck was hurting. It's a problem for us. But I happen to love him a lot. So
hot guy problems you got, Marni. Tall, good looking, attractive, doesn't even have to work.
Yeah. But wait, back to my story about Jessica. So then we go out for our night of hanging out and we start talking to this group of guys, and I'm talking to this one guy who's talking about how he's in transition and he just quit his job and he's transitioning, meaning he's unemployed right now. And I was
gotcha. I had a whole different definition of transition. What? I was like,
no.
Okay.
I'm like, here we go.
Yeah, right. Another one in Los Angeles. No, and then I said, you know what? Can you do me a favor? Go flirt with my friend Jessica, and at some point, like mix into the conversation that you're unemployed. I just want to see what happens. So he ended up flirting with her and talking to her, and I could see the moment that he had actually said it, and I just saw her like eyes light up, and then she leaned in and was being so sweet to him. They were making out by the end of the night. They ended up dating for 3 weeks afterwards. My point is like you can always say your ideals of what you want, but it's not necessarily what you'll actually like and enjoy. That's why online dating is a complete mess for most people, because they look at very superficial things and they list very superficial things, which means that people who are reading your superficial things, who could actually be really good for you, are deterred by what you say and then don't approach you. It just ends up being a mess for people unless you
So are you saying that she was turned on because he was unemployed?
No, but she wasn't turned off and she didn't discredit him or cut him out because he was unemployed. Before
Marni,
she was adamant about, I will not date these guys.
Marni, okay, that's one case example of Sarah who's looking for some D on that particular evening for a good 3 weeks. Most guys tell a girl, yeah, you know, tough market out there, tough economy, haven't had a job in months. Girls' panties are going to dry up. There's no way that's a turn on for most women.
But exactly like what we were talking about before, it's the way that you frame it. If Andrew Tate were to say the exact same thing in his confident way, where he's like, but I got shit going on, I'm going to make shit happen, her panties would drop. I'm telling you.
Okay, guys out there, if you're unemployed, just be smooth about it. It's like, listen, it's kind of too cool for a job these days.
There's some women who are going to cut you out right away. Like 100%. It's just not for some women, but for all women, no.
Yeah. Well, is it true that most women will know if they will sleep with you or not within the first 5 seconds?
I don't know if that's really true. For me,
how many seconds?
I would say
you're telling me a girl
like a full date.
Really? You're telling me a girl is not going to look at a guy?
there's certain people that I am heavily attracted to just because of their presence. So right away, yes, I can know that in the first 5 seconds. But this is where like the black and white information comes from, right? But in reality, most people don't know how they truly feel about somebody until they explore them more often, because most people aren't super suave and charming. Most people are not hilarious and also really good at connecting to you and having great conversation. And most people aren't like off the top of the charts freaking good looking. So most people you're interacting with, it is like a slower build to decide whether or not you actually want to sleep with somebody. And it also depends on what your goals are. If you're like if I'm single ever again and all I want to do is have sex, I'm going to be looking on a very different level from me going out there looking for a relationship. So if I just want to have sex, I'm probably only going to pick guys to go on dates with who I'm super attracted to, who I have a blast with, and who I don't have to talk about serious stuff with. And yes, those people all know.
I hear you on that, Marni, but that's a lot different. Yeah. Are you in your late 30s? What are you, give or take ish? I don't want to put you
up. All right, let's go with that one.
Okay, all right. So that means she's 40. All right. But anyway, so we're very similar age. I've seen this happen. I've seen women in their 40s, they've had kids, they've already, secured that lifestyle, they've married the guy, and maybe the relationship didn't work out. Now they've already have the kids, they have the house, they got the divorce, they got the whatever, they got the money, they got the alimony. Now what they're looking for is a lot different than what they were looking for when they were 25. Now, like you said, maybe they'll just go out looking for a good time. They don't need more kids. They're not looking to get married. They just want to have a good time.
Yeah.
So there's a different mindset for that type of person. Let me ask you this question. How many of your friends, right, early 40s, let's say, are you grew up in LA, or you've been in LA a long time?
No, Toronto. I've been in LA for a long time.
Okay. Yeah. Lake Muskoka, great place.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, know it. Muskoka. Anyway, great place.
Muskoka.
Yeah, of course. I got it. I got it right the first time. Great time. How many of your friends that 40 plus, let's say, have been so focused on their career or so focused on their job that they just did not end up getting married and having kids? And what does their life look like now?
Okay, so friends, I have 3 friends in that position. So, but they're not in their 40s. They're like late 30s and very down on themselves right now.
Very down on themselves. Why are they down on themselves? Yeah.
Because they feel like they are the plague for men, because anybody that they date is going to think that this woman has a clock that's ticking. She's going to be, and she is, right? She's all about family or babies potentially, because that's where her head can still be at this age. And she just feels like there's, less chance of her meeting a good man at this stage in life because of the amount of pressure or perceived pressure that can come from dating her. But I find it interesting because, like, let's say women who haven't had kids, they haven't gone through that divorce. Once they hit like 45, I feel like that all goes away and you're back in the playing field because you're not thinking about having a family anymore. Now you can take on somebody else's family and just be equally as happy.
Interesting. So you're saying at 45, you kind of give up on that dream and you're like, all right, fuck it.
I think so. I think like the 35 to like 45 zone is like a tough zone for women in terms of how they think others are going to perceive them.
This is actually such a fascinating topic for me because I'm a guy. I can give guy advice all day long. A dude walks in and he's like, Adam, I want to make more money. I want to get more chicks. I want to do better. I got you, bro. But I kind of defer on giving women advice because I'm not a woman and that's just not my vibe. However, being in my early 40s and I have girlfriends in their late 30s, even, a couple years older than me. Like as an example, I ran into a friend recently. She's a year older than me. Okay. So she's 42, 43, whatever. And I said point blank, I'm like, hey, like, you got a man? She's like, no. I'm like, do you want a man? She's like, you have no idea how much I want a man. I'm like, well, you want kids? She's like, of course I want kids. I'm like, what are you going to do? She's like, well, I froze my eggs. I'm like, oh, really? So so this is the modern day reality of the modern woman, the modern feminist, where, and again, not everything's black and white. There's gray, but I'm just going to be black and white for a second.
Yeah.
If you're so focused on your career and you're so focused on living your best life and traveling and having the best time of your life, it's sleeping around and, body count doesn't matter. And just like all of that comes with modern day feminism. One day you're going to wake up, you're going to be 43, you're at the fucking egg donor clinic freezing your eggs, and you're going to be wondering, damn, where did I go wrong? And that's my advice for young women is like value your time as a beautiful young woman, because and I'm not saying that it's tragic. Like there's a lot more tragedy out there. Like I'm not, there's a lot sadder things in life, but the last thing you want to do is be like 48 years old and be like, this is what I got. Ugh. I got some money in the bank. I got a couple kittens and like, damn, like. So, I mean, I know you give men advice, but as a female, you must understand where I'm coming from here. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I totally understand. And then I will say something like if my female friends want advice, I usually point them towards my husband because he gives women way better advice about men than I would ever give them. So I think like you advising your female friends would be super helpful for them, especially since you're blunt and very honest with your opinion. It could help them. But what do I think about that? Yeah, that is really sad. Yeah. It is. And because, it's a reality for a lot of women. But it's a choice that they made.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy because I don't, when I give these case examples, I don't give names. However, so like this one girl, same situation, my buddy, I was like, hey bro, like you should get so-and-so's number. He's like, yeah, what's up? Like she's all right. I'm like, I don't think you understand. She was like the hottest girl in high school. Like every dude was trying to get up in that. Like every dude, like hot. He's like, bruh, that was 25 years ago. Things have changed. I'm going to go look for a 25-year-old now. I'm 40.
Yeah.
And I was like, but she was hot in high school, dude. He's like, yeah, I don't give a shit. And like that's the sadness that I'm talking about here. Yeah. Is that you're talking like it's kind of like the guy that was like, yeah, bro, in high school I scored 4 touchdowns in one game. I'm Al Bundy. It's like
you're like you're 42. Shut up.
You're a shoe salesman. You're 68 years old. What are you doing right here?
Exactly.
Anyway, speaking of scoring touchdowns, I really, really, really want to get your opinion on what's happening with Tom Brady and Giselle. So breaking news, you heard that she officially filed for divorce today. Did you hear that?
Yes.
So I don't.
Well, just here right now, I heard that.
Okay, there it is. Breaking news. We're doing this. This is what we're doing here at Valuetainment on Soscast.
Yep.
We're breaking news. But obviously the rumors have been out there for weeks and weeks and weeks. Yeah. He's retiring. He's unretiring. She's back. He's back on the field. She's unhappy. So in my opinion, I don't think this is a good look for the institution of marriage. And I'll tell you why. Tom Brady and Giselle getting divorced. So, a year ago, Marni, if you said to me, hey, Adam, what's like the ideal marriage?
Right.
What's the ideal relationship? I'm like, well, you got to think Tom Brady and Giselle. Here's the Super Bowl winning quarterback, GQ model looks. He's the best football player ever. Good dad, stud, multi-millionaire, like never have anything controversial, just total epitome stud of a guy. He marries supermodel, wonderful woman, wonderful mother,
has her own
supportive,
money, makes more than
has
him,
her own
great.
money. It's like, can you get better than that?
Yeah, steps away to raise the kids.
Holy
Absolutely.
shit. And then now it turns out she's divorcing him. So it's like, it sort of like triggers to me. It's like, you could be Tom Brady, stud of all studs, man of all mans, like champion, multimillionaire, stud, GQ, marry a supermodel. And at some point, she's going to be like over you. And I'm thinking, what the fuck is Giselle thinking? So in your opinion, it's like, good luck, Giselle. Go finding another Tom Brady. So anyway, I'm getting a little emotional now. Maybe I'm just showing emotions, not being emotional. What do you think is going on with Giselle? Why would she file for divorce with Tom Brady?
I don't know the inner workings of their relationship, but like what they present to the public is very, it's surface level information that's what they want people to know about them. So I don't know how they get along, how they have conversations, how they deal with bumps in the road, how they deal with challenges in their families. There's lots of things that happen within a marriage, and especially with kids, where you see a different side. He may be the best quarterback, but he may be a horrible communicator, or he may be really, really volatile when they have their fights, or she may be really volatile when they have their fights. Like there's so many things that could happen within that relationship behind closed doors that I don't know about.
No, I get it. Obviously, it's everyone's speculating at this point. By the way, so they each had they came out with public announcements. Not that this is not curated for just kind of. All right, getting my thing out there.
For the public.
Exactly.
Yes.
So here's Tom Brady. He says, in recent days, my wife and I finalized are divorced from one another after 13 years. Obviously they're using words like amicably and gratitude and blessed and beautiful, wonderful children. And we'll continue to work together. We arrived at this decision to end our marriage after much consideration. It's painful, yada, yada, yada. We kindly ask for privacy and respect as we navigate through this. And then she says, same words. With gratitude and humbleness, we have amicably finalized divorce. Same words. Like they scripted it together. My priority has always been and will continue to be our children, right? We love our children. We're co-parenting, all that. The decision to end our marriage is never easy. Yada, yada, yada. We've grown apart. Yada, yada, yada. I wish the best. Yada, yada, yada. We kindly ask for privacy during these difficult times. Yeah. Thank you, Giselle. So obviously you can't take a lot of that other than they were at least on the same page. But there's stories out there that, that there was a lack of sex in the marriage, right? And something I'm sure you're familiar with. It's like, show me the hottest chick in the world. I'll show you a dude who's sick of banging her, right? Tired of banging her. So like, could that possibly be the case in your expert opinion, speculating?
Yes, 100%. And then I feel on the flip side, she's probably tired of banging him too. Like,
really?
Yeah. Well, when it gets past just attraction, there's a lot more to sparking that sexual desire in the person. And then you throw kids into the mix. It's like you just suck all the sexuality out of your relationship. So I think 100% that's probably what happened. And that's most marriages too. Especially if you throw kids into the mix, that is most marriages. Marriage is really freaking hard. But I mean, the thing that I'm enjoying most about marriage is that I grow and I learn, and it's challenging, and I have weeks at a time where I have hated my husband, and that is a truth and a reality. I have hated him so much where I've wanted to do horrible things to him.
Really?
But
for weeks at a time, Marni?
For weeks at a time, because I have so much animosity and anger towards him. This is before we started doing these safe conversation courses. I mean, again, it ebbs and flows, but there's things that happen in your relationship where you just feel so unheard or so unseen or so unsupported that this tension starts to build up, and you feel a certain way about your significant other. And hopefully you can grow together so that you can heal that, grow from that, and become better and stronger from that, which I have to be honest, from an example of myself, that is what's happening within my own marriage, where we are in an amazing place now, and a better place than we've been for the past probably 4 years, because we have 2 children now, and that is really tough on a relationship.
Listen, I'm telling you, like I constantly hear marriage is hard, but it's worth it.
Have you been about kids too? And then I question the same thing. Is it all worth? I don't know, but I'm still in it. I'm still enjoying the process, and I'd rather be with my husband than with anybody else. I think that's at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
This may be controversial, but obviously you get married and then you have kids, a traditional relationship, okay? But, a lot of people say, dude, unless I'm having kids, unless I'm planning on starting a family, I'm not getting married. I'm not just going to be Tweedledee and Tweedledum just sitting around together, and we're just, a couple growing old together with no kids. The premise is that the whole point of getting married is settling down, having a family, and building that. Do you think there's truth to that? Like, I get it. Some people can't have kids. There's extenuating circumstances.
Yeah.
We're talking about black and
controversial at all.
Okay, but a lot of people will.
I think it's just reality.
Yeah. So do you see that? Do you see a reason why to get married? Like, I have a friend who is like, yeah, we're getting married. We got married, but we're not planning having kids. Super good looking guy. And I'm like, what the fuck are you thinking, bro? You could be out there just ripping it up, having the best time of your life. He got married young. Got married at like 28, 30. He's like, yeah, we're not having kids. I'm just like, what are you doing? The fuck are you doing?
Some people really like partnership and companionship, and some people
maybe
it just depends on their wants. Like, people used to always try to find problems with George Clooney as well because he didn't want to settle down. there's nothing wrong with
I had
people
no
who don't
problems,
wanna
George
settle down.
Clooney. Or Leonardo
Go
DiCaprio.
live your
Yeah.
life. Go
Yeah.
keep having sex with models and beautiful, amazing, super smart women.
Sounds horrible.
And then when it starts to become boring, move on to the, like, I don't have any problem with that at all. It's just, I think that all of these, everybody has this, like, you know, construct that they really believe in. And if people want to do things outside of the construct, it rattles it for them because they have to question their own beliefs. Like both of my sisters are not married, but one sister has 2 kids. They own a house with each other. They've been together for 14 years, I think. My other sister owns a condo with her significant other. They're pregnant right now. They don't plan on getting married. They don't plan on having more than one child. And I have friends who don't want kids and they have gotten married because they really believe in the institution of marriage and they want that announcement to the world that this is my person. So I think it really just depends on who you are, what you want, what your goals are.
Let me ask you this. I don't need I don't need an exact answer. I get it. You don't know the exact answer, but in your opinion, after having coaching thousands of men, but also being a woman and I'm serving a lot of friends and conversations with women, what percentage of men want to have kids for sure?
Oh, God.
And what percentage of women want to have kids for sure?
Oh, God, I have absolutely no idea. I have no idea. But I do know from my own experience, I remember when I first started dating my husband and I was talking about, because my ideal of what happens in the future is you're supposed to have a family. And I remember bringing it up to my husband. He's like, oh no, I don't want kids. And I was like, what? Like, how can you even think that way? And then I think then he wanted to have kids later on. So then we got married. And then because he's 10 years older than me, he wanted to start having kids when I was having like the best time of my life, having a blast. And I was really upset and I kept pushing it off. We eventually had kids. And then he was the driving force for that second one. He really wanted to have a second child. And I was done at that point. And we ended up having 2 children, which, you know, sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes that's a bad thing in my household. But, I forget what question I was answering right now, to be honest.
What percentage of men and women?
I don't know. I have absolutely no idea that percentage.
I would venture to guess that the vast majority of women, I'd say 80-90% of women would like to have kids. And I would say that 80% of men would want to have kids. No?
I don't know. I have absolutely
Marni,
no idea.
Come on. How would I
know? Do I know? Let me channel it in.
No, but okay. Okay,
But based on your experience with your
coach
all the men that I work with, I would say 90% of the men that I work with want to have a family.
So you do know.
See, that's interesting.
But you said the men in the world. Like, I don't know.
No, I said based on your experience. Based on your experience, of course.
No, yeah. So most of the men that I work with want to have families.
And what age range is that for men?
They're all different ages. I have men who are like
between 47, what ages are the most popular?
For wanting to have children?
Yes, and the men. Like, are they in their late 20s? Are they in their early 20s? Are they
in
their 30s, 40s,
they're in their
50s?
Most of the people who I work with are like 28 to 65. And I would say it weighs heavily on the older, because now I'm 41. So that's why I'm attracting as my clientele. They're older guys. But even when I was younger and I was working with more guys who were in their 20s and 30s, the majority of them wanted to have a family, wanted to be a husband and a father.
Yeah, I would say that most guys would like to be settled down, family by their 30s, mid to 30s. Now, if you get into like cities like Miami or even LA or New York, where you like Miami specifically, where you can extend that party life and there's constantly young hot chicks and you're like, it's like Matthew McConaughey. It's like, I get older, they stay the same age. All right. It's like, you keep doing this thing for a while. Like, I have buddies like in their 50s still. I'm like, yeah, that ain't going to be me. Like, I mean, I say that now, but like, early 40s, I'm like.
Do you want to get married?
I would like to for sure have a family with kids. I don't know if I want the government involved in my marriage. That seems like a risky situation. I'd like to have kids. I think I'd be a sick father. I think it'd be great. I was a camp counselor. I was a school teacher in my former life. I've always gotten along with kids. I think that it would be a shame to let these genes go to waste. Okay, Marni?
Excuse me. Well, yes, and you're good looking.
Thank you.
But like, You have your confidence together. Obviously, you know that already, but like, I think you'd be a good father.
Thank you. I think I would be good too. I think I'd be a.
I think you'd be a good dad.
Thanks. You know.
Got you, dude.
I send referrals. Anyway, we've got about 10 minutes left. I want to get this one point out, and then we'll get into some super chats. Speaking of referrals, like I talked about, you know, men referrals. So I think dating. So I made my money. I made millions in financial sales. Okay. So did Pat, our office. He made 10 times more than me, but made a lot of money in that. But I think dating is a lot like sales. Let me explain. Okay. So I think
100%.
So I think much like dating, much like sales, you kind of got to be able to spit game. You got to be a good talker, right? That kind of comes with, you got to know your shit. Got to know what you're good at. You got to have
people.
You got to have competence, which leads to confidence. And then when you're confident, you kind of know what you're doing. And then, you know, like I used to do cold calling, right? It's a numbers game. I didn't just like make one call and then got hung up and I'm like, all right, I guess I suck. It's like, no, you got to hit those. You got to hit those phones, buddy. That's like going up to one girl and like, yeah, she wasn't interested. I'm going home for the night. Buddy, there's 100 more girls at the bar. It's a numbers game, okay? And then when you get numbers and you approach and you do your thing, then you got to follow up, and follow up is key as sales. It's like just because you got the guy's number or card or whatever, now you got to follow up. And then ultimately, once you become good and competent and you know your thing, then you start to get referrals. So sales is a lot like dating, right?
Totally.
So do you find that salespeople, sales guys specifically, are better with women than just your average Joe?
Yeah, well, they start off having a larger tool belt of tools that they can utilize.
Oh, yeah,
they just need to finesse and adjust. That they just need to finesse and adjust. So they already have the conversation down. They know how to be confident. They know how to not be put off by rejection and beaten down. So yeah, they're like 10 times ahead of other guys.
Yeah. So anyway, ultimately, guys, you know, this is a financial relationship podcast, finance romance. So I wanted to kind of throw that in there. You know, I'll give you guys advice out there. If you want to make money and you want to be great at something, it's going to take time. If you're not becoming a traditional money-making career, doctor, lawyer, engineer, what have you, get into sales. Get into sales. You can make a lot of money. You can have economic freedom. You can have freedom of time. It's a very good thing, okay? Yes. I always knew that I would get into sales, and I was in this avenue, that avenue. Eventually, I found my niche. Boom, run with it. But sales, you get good with money, you get good, especially in financial stuff, and then it kind of helps your game, your mouthpiece. You get good with women. So even
that's
Marni,
totally
wing girl,
but it just sets you up because you're not as affected by so many things that so many people don't have to encounter every single day.
Yeah, for sure. You got to deal with rejection. All right, I lost the deal. It's all good. We'll live. Everything's with that.
There's another one. I'll find it again. Yeah,
there's always another one. There's plenty of fish in the sea. Okay, last question. We got one more question, then we'll get to this because you gotta do a hard out in like what, 10 minutes, give or take.
No, I have more time because my husband said he can go get our kids. So
okay, awesome. Thank you, husband. What was his name again?
See, he's Jordan. Yeah. He's stepping up his game.
You know what? I didn't like Jordan at the beginning of this interview. Now I love Jordan.
Go Jordan.
So, you know, Chris Rock has a famous quote. He says, you know, talking about dating and first dates, he says, when you meet somebody for the first time, you're not meeting them, you're meeting their representative, right? But you're also big on being authentic and being the real you. So what advice do you have for a guy as far as like being you, but also not really being you on the first date? Send your representative out there, you know, put your best foot forward and just kind of not
just that. It's like, put your best foot forward. Don't throw up on women by spitting out every insecurity you have, every past experience you've ever had, every failure you've ever had, every win that you've ever had. Don't throw up on women. Go there, have fun, enjoy, flirt, connect, share, listen, ask questions, respond to what she's saying to you. And then slowly you start to divulge. Like you have to hold on to your information as long as you can. And when you decide that somebody is worthy of hearing more about you, about things that you hold close to you, about your past experiences, then you can start to slowly express that to women and bring them into your past.
Don't reveal it all on the first date. Kind of be girls like mysterious guys, right? They like to like kind of let their mind wander a little bit. Right?
I think so. I think there's definitely something to be said for guys who don't just tell you everything, but tell you just enough.
By the way, I know Natalya pretty well at this point. She's like the thrill of the chase. Yeah, you want to be chased.
It is part of the chase. That mysterious side that like there's still more. It's exciting because it's like the person that you're pursuing. There's more to them, and it's like you don't want it to like die out and be boring. Like you want it to still be exciting and something to be there and so on. So
the chase for a guy is like, I feel like, because Janelle, shout out to Janelle Gordon. You ever done anything with Janelle Gordon? You know who that is? She's like sex therapist. She says, she's a very famous quote, which I totally agree with. And I say it all the time, that men want freedom and women want commitment, right? Mm-hmm. So women get turned off or get scared because men want their freedom, and men get turned off by the fact that women want the commitment. And, men do want freedom. So like, I was in a very serious relationship for a long time. We were engaged, we were on, we were off. Like there could be a whole goddamn fucking soap opera written about this relationship where again, we're not, there's a whole thing. And I went to like therapy, and probably picked the worst place to go to therapy on Lincoln Road in South Beach, was where I saw my therapist about well, what's funny, I was like, we should go to couples therapy to work this out. And I went to one meeting and I came back home. She's like, how was it? I'm like, I'm going to be a while. Like, no need for you to show up. Like, I got some shit I got to work out over here. But I would go to this therapist and we were working out some stuff. Obviously, eventually the relationship didn't work out. We're cool and all that. But here's my point, talking about freedom. I said, listen, bro, there's just so many fucking hot girls out here. It didn't help. I swear. Yeah.
I know you did. I know you did.
It didn't. I'm being real here. I said, and I'm on Lincoln Road in South Beach. If you know anything about that, that's like walking in Beverly Hills, middle of Beverly Hills in LA or whatever, like whatever's the most populated area.
Right.
And I was just like, I'm like, dude, I parked my car. I walk on Lincoln Road. I'm hurting my neck just walking to see my therapist. I'm like, this is not a good sign for me, dude. He goes, try this out. Since it seems like you're the type of person that, as a salesperson and, someone who wants the thrill of the chase, he goes, you go out and you get girls' numbers? Yeah, of course. Whether you're single or whether you're with your girl, I'm like, yeah, I kind of do. He's like, and then what happens? You follow up? I'm like, well, yeah.
It's part of sales.
Whatever, it's part of sales. They follow up. Hello.
Yeah.
He goes, why don't you do this? Why don't you do this? If again, I was trying to work on my relationship, and he goes, well, why don't you try this? Go out. If there's a really pretty girl, all right, approach her, get her number, see how that works, and then walk away, rip up the number, throw it in the garbage, proverbially. And I was like, all right, let me give that a shot. And I realized that was actually something that...
You just liked it.
It worked for me because I was like, the thrill of the chase. It wasn't about for any guy out there who's been with a bunch of women and dated a bunch of women, ultimately it's not about the sex. Like, sex is great, we get it, but there's more to life than sex. Okay, but it's about the thrill of the chase. Does she like me? Does she not like me? Like that whole thing, that dance, that romantic dance. And for me, what happened was, all right, she liked me. I like her. I got the number. I proved whatever it was. I got the number and I was like, I'm good. And
I love that. That was great advice.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was because listen,
I
you know what?
I could see how that. I could see you being fulfilled when that's taken place.
I got the number. I'm out. I'm good. I'm gonna go home.
Yeah.
I swear to God.
But I have a bit of that in me too. I never did sales, but I probably should have done sales.
Yeah.
I love flirting with people. I love getting that male energy and that male attraction. I live off of that. I think it's amazing. Mm-hmm. I remember listening to this one therapist being interviewed. This is when I first started my business. I forget who it was, but she was 75 years old, and she's like, oh yeah, she's like, I go out to all these events and I flirt with guys and I have fun and we have great conversations, and then I go home and I fuck my husband. And she's like, I just liked that. That energy made her feel human. That's how I am as well. It makes me feel alive. I'm an extrovert. I love being flirtatious. I love connecting with people. And it took my husband a long time to understand that about me, because it was a point of contention in the beginning of our relationship. I liked hugging other people that I met. I liked touching other people that I met. Didn't mean I wanted to sleep with them.
Yeah.
I just enjoyed that. So I think the more that you can communicate that to the people that you date about who you are, what makes you happy, what makes you feel alive. And then hopefully you guys are on the same page and they can accept that. I mean, that's a hard thing for a woman to accept, is her guy going out and flirting and getting phone numbers. It's a hard thing to take in.
Yeah.
But I mean, if that works for you and you can talk about it, that's like gold right there.
Do you think that, back to like the Andrew Tate thing, he talks about like if you're a high value man, you get to sleep around, you have options kind of a thing. But let me frame this in a little better way. Do you think that a woman, like if I'm going to give you like a sort of a binary two options here, we talked about not everything is black and white. There's a lot of gray area. We get that. But for the sake of this conversation, it'll be black and white. Would you rather be with a multi-millionaire, successful guy? You live a great life. You've got kids. You've got a family. Life's great. You're happy. He's a chivalrous gentleman dude. Good sex. All that. Life is great. No complaints.
Yeah, I'll take that option.
Okay.
That's fantastic.
But he goes and, maybe goes on business trips and, who knows what happens, and there's
right, and has like prostitutes or girls that he sleeps with.
I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying that like there's a high likelihood that like when you get married, that you're not going to be the only woman that he ever sleeps with again. Let's just put it that way, okay? Whether he is or he's not, but like just know that life's good, but he's probably doing some things on the side, what have you, whatever. Versus a relationship, the guy's nice, he's a good guy. Maybe he's not the best looking. Maybe you're not crazy attracted to him, but like life's good. Life's okay, but he's 100% loyal. He ain't going nowhere. He loves you with all his heart, all his soul, and you have nothing to worry about. What would you prefer?
I'd probably prefer the second option, because for me, life wouldn't be bliss if I knew that other stuff was going on. The turmoil that I would put, I'm an anxious Jew. I would have a very hard time, like knowing that when my husband goes away, that something else is potentially going on, and that would not be happy for me.
So let me kind of give you my perspective on that. And I'm not married. I'm not saying this. I'm not saying I'm advocating one or the other. However, I feel like that's a short-sighted viewpoint. I'll tell you why. Because it's like 99 versus 1. 99% of the time, you are happy, in love, so fucking ecstatic that this is your husband. Life's great. He's taking care of you. Life is so good. But there's 1% of the time where you're like, I don't know, he's on a business trip. I don't know. Like, did he
well,
not?
I don't know.
Okay.
So
I'm saying 99-1.
I'm just thinking he might be doing that.
Or maybe he is. Maybe, in fact, he is. I'm just saying. But it's 1% out of 100. 99% of the time, it's all good.
Okay,
1%.
so it's not that he is cheating when he goes away.
Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But let's just say maybe he is. Okay? Versus, 50-50, meaning like, yeah, you love the guy, you're happy, but like it's not, he doesn't do it for you. It's kind of like,
I mean, that doesn't sound nice either. I don't want to be with somebody who doesn't do it for me.
I know, that's my point.
I know. So you're giving me hard choices.
Well,
so
that's the point.
If I don't know for sure that this person is cheating on me, and it's just like my insecurities that are perking up because he's a man of value that other women might be after, I'd probably choose option number 1.
Yeah.
But if I knew that he was cheating whenever he went away, I would not be blissful, and I would make his life hell when he came home. So it would not be a happy household. Okay. I'm being completely honest.
Hey, Jordan, are you listening, buddy? Are you listening, buddy?
Listen up.
Yeah, it would be torturous for both of us.
What do you think most women would choose? This amazing, blissful, awesome life where their husband kind of explores his options from time to time, or a content life? Life's okay, life's good, but your husband 100% loyal. What do you think most women would choose?
I don't know. I mean, the women that are in my life right now would probably choose option 2, but they still wouldn't be. Well, that's the life that they're living right now, is where they're semi-blissful and their husband is completely loyal to them. So I don't know how to answer that.
Then here is a point that you definitely disagree with your friend Andrew Tate. I know you said a lot of what he said you agree with, pretty much everything, it's just his tone. But his perspective is if you reach that status, and not a lot of men do, right? That 1% men, that upper echelon, high value, high status kind of guy, money, looks, status, all that kind of stuff, it gives you the right to kind of do as you please. And women kind of got to deal with it.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
For.
Right. No, I don't like that. It doesn't give you if you work that, I just don't like where it's like against other people. But like that's the reality, is that most guys who are on that playing field, who do operate at that level with that type of mentality, that is how they live, and that is what they can do, because they believe they can do that, and then they can get the things that they're envisioning. So
like Marni, so let's get specific here. You coach thousands of men. Okay, you're familiar with like the rule of threes. Like, keep it simple, everything in threes. If you can kind of summarize the 3 types of men you deal with, meaning like, as an example, there's, the bottom third, they're fucking losers. They can't get laid. I'm just trying to figure out how they approach a girl. Then there's, the tier 2 guy. He's okay. He's doing good. He's got a job. He maybe can get a girl or two, but he ain't killing it. And then there's like the high value man who's like, listen, I'm the man. I'm the bomb. Here's what I want to do with my life. And I'm kind of using you to kind of like help me. That's with like
5% of the guys that I work with, but the other 2 are the majority. Okay, so I don't typically work with those guys.
So who exactly? So who are the if you could, the 3 types of guys you work with? Or in essence,
it's kind of just what you said, but the first tier is like the Mr. Nice Guy, the guy who gets walked all over all the time, who puts his energy into the wrong women, who gets taken advantage of by women, and the pattern continues to happen over and over and over again. Has no idea how to sexually escalate, put his sexual intent out there, too afraid to do that. Lower confidence, especially in that area of his life. The next tier are guys, exactly what you said, who have their shit together, who focused on their career, but you know what? I forgot about focusing on women, and now they kind of freak me out. I don't know what to do, what to say. Takes a couple of months, and then they're like, boom, I know exactly what to do, and they get into an amazing relationship, or have a very active, fun sex life and know how to interact with women. 5% are those guys who are like I'm kicking ass in every area of my life. I don't really value women. They're not on the same level as me, but like, I just want to go higher and higher and higher and be like a player and just like have sex in like an evening and just belittle women, or like that's not who I work with. And usually I turn those people away because I don't know how to coach guys on that level. I can coach them that they're not doing great things for women, and believe that, but I don't really want to help them further their intent.
Got it. So that upper echelon guy, once they reveal to you, listen, I'm making money, I got millions in the bank, things are good. My ultimate goal is to really just become the best version of myself financially, but they're not coming to you for that. But they're also looking to become essentially the best pickup artist they possibly can be, in essence. And you're like, I ain't trying to help you with all that.
Yes, I would say that is correct. That I don't know how to help those guys with that, of like how to have multiple stands or one night stands every single night. Like I don't know how to coach for that, because I've never been the woman that also wants to be in that position. Got it. So I don't have the perspective.
And you saying you turn them away from like a moral
if they're ever like, listen, I'm fine. Go have threesomes. Go have sex in a bathroom. Like I want guys to be able to do that and have options. But when it gets to the level of I just want to see women as pawns and numbers that I can get, that's who I'm not equipped to help.
Yeah. Well, let me the guys that I know that really kill it with women. Yeah. It's actually the exact opposite. They're not assholes. They're not jerks. They're not scumbags. They're actually gentlemen. They actually have their shit together. They pay for women. They treat women well. They treat women with respect, and they talk a good game. They act a good game, but they're very focused on their careers, and women fall for them. And just because they're not pushovers, they're not soft, they're not pussies. They're definitely like, they use the word no than yes, more than yes, for sure. They're like, this is the way to, and like women fall for these kind of guys. So that like,
that's
it's
who
not,
I'm coaching people to be. So like taking these bad boy qualities that are super attractive without actually being a bad boy and an asshole and a jerk to women. So I want every single person that I work with to be exactly what you just stated. Yeah. But I want them to have the confidence to say no, to get lost in their career and not follow up with a woman for a couple of days and having her come and contact them first. Like that's ultimately who I want every one of my clients to be.
But those guys who are your friends who do those things, are they even looking for a relationship, or they just do those things because they know that's how you treat a woman?
I think that every guy's looking for a relationship. I feel like anytime you're going out and you're trying to like do your thing out there, I think there's like, even if you're like anti-relationship, there's a part of you that wants to meet the best possible girl, no doubt. But then, you know, it's like in any relationship, it kind of comes monotonous. You know, the girl wants the commitment, the guy wants the freedom, that whole thing. And they're just like, I'm busy and, you know, I'm traveling and that whole.
And you don't have enough of my attention right now because other things are pulling my attention more than you.
Yeah.
And that's like what you just asked is like why a lot of the guys that I work with have difficulty, because most women interact with men like the ones that you were just describing, right? Who are like, you're kind of good. I enjoy you, but there's other things pulling. Listen, I'm not knocking that at all.
Yeah.
Like, enjoy your life, do whatever you want. But that's the woman that most of these guys that I work with, who are Mr. Nice Guys, who they come up against. Right. And so their tactics don't work on these women because they are used to chasing these other men. So I teach men how to be the guy like that but with the intentions of, I want something more and I want to be a good guy and I'm going to be straight with you if I don't have enough time, rather than ghost you or leave you for 3 weeks at a time and not give you an explanation for it. And I'm not saying that your friends do that, but I'm saying that's what a lot of women encounter. And that's why they have a lot of barriers towards these other really good guys who won't do those things.
Do women read, like, obviously because it's true, but it's also kind of like, listen, I'm just super busy and focused on my career. Like, it's true, but a lot of guys will also use that as like an excuse. So
don't use that as an excuse.
Do women
I would rather
read through that bullshit?
Yes.
Yeah, they do.
Yes.
I mean, I'd rather
somebody told Nat she's too busy. He's too busy. Yeah. Sorry, Nat.
No, but I'd rather give an honest response, like, "Hey, I'm not feeling it on that level with you that I want to be feeling it. But I think you're awesome. You're great. I'm just not feeling that strong pull towards you that I'm hoping to experience." If that's a truth for you, or if you just say, like, "Listen, I really just want to enjoy people. I like having experiences without any commitment for right now. I'm really heavily focused on my career. If you can handle that, great. Let's hang out from time to time. But if not, and it's not your thing, then we're not right for each other."
All right, let's talk about these nice guys for a second. Maybe that bottom tier of guy. There's a very famous author, the writer, comedian. His name is Jaden Russell. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but he actually wrote something about this. He said basically, like, women want homicide over nice guys. So basically, she agrees.
It's true. So, they want a little craziness over like somebody who's just pleasing and appeasing them.
You know, speaking of like homicide over nice guys, the number 2 show on Netflix of all time is this Jeffrey Dahmer expose.
He's gay. Why?
All right, exactly. Women are fascinated. So women clearly have an obsession with like crime documentaries and murder mysteries and just these bad boy guy types, whatever, like triggering emotions. You know, so essentially, like, a woman would rather like end up in a freezer with a bad boy than than accept flowers from Jimmy Nice Guy that lives down the street.
They don't want boring and dull.
So exactly. Why do women?
That roller coaster is amazing.
So they don't want boring and dull. They want roller coasters. So why do women hate nice guys? Why do they like bad boys? And doesn't that just lead to more toxic relationships?
It does. But the thing is like, nice is just like a nice label that people give to these nice guys so they don't feel so bad about themselves. The real nice guys are pleasers, appeasers, wimpy guys who don't stand up for themselves, very beta type men who don't really have strong opinions, who don't take charge, who have no leadership. Like, it's not attractive, and it's inauthentic because they're not really being their real selves. They're holding back on who they are so that they don't ruffle any feathers or potentially lose attraction from the woman that they're trying to interact with, but they're not going to gain any attraction either because they're showing a version of them that's bland and nothing.
And you've coached a bunch of these guys, Marni?
I think that's mainly who I coach.
Okay, so give me an example, if you would, like, think for a second of what that nice guy does that's wrong versus what that top guy would do in that exact same situation that would work better. Can you give me that example?
In what situation?
Make up a situation. What it's
Okay, so for example, so if a guy and a girl are talking at a club, right? And a nice guy would just be like, oh, asking tons of questions and listening and then nodding and agreeing and not really injecting any information about himself, no opinions, really not sharing much about himself because he's afraid to say anything. Putting his body language back, not leaning.
We lost your mic.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Is it okay now?
You're good. Yeah,
so so not touching, not leaning in, not smirking, not making great eye contact. Like that's a nice guy who's sort of just like this presence that's there, but isn't really adding any value whatsoever. This girl could be talking, with a doorknob, and she would basically have the same feeling after leaving the conversation with him. On the flip side, who I coach these guys to be are more engaging guys who know how to use their body language and their tonality and their facial gestures so that they can display intent on a very low level, but at least display intent versus cutting off all sexuality altogether, touching, asking questions, listening, teasing, injecting sentences that take things to a flirtatious level where they banter using some sexual innuendo, saying things like, oh my God, stop flirting with me right now. That's ridiculous. Like, I mean, I have a whole program for how to go to that next level with women. But the main difference is just picture a meek version of a human being that we all know who just don't put their real selves out there and just like are blah individuals when there are real women that they're attracted to, versus this guy who values himself, values his time, is confident and comfortable saying things that may seem out of the box or a little bit crazy, but he's okay saying those things because he's comfortable in his own skin.
Yeah. You want to ask her a question on that?
No.
Oh, no?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you had a situation where a guy was just too nice for you? You're like, yeah, he's just too nice.
Actually, I have.
Yes?
I actually have.
What happened?
I've had a situation. It just got to a point where it just became very like boring.
Yeah.
It was just like everything I said, it was like agreeing with, like, yeah, it's, and it gets to a point where it's like you're looking almost for like feedback and direction from them. So like having someone a little bit more assertive and a little bit more someone who can like process what you're telling them and then kind of again like lead you in the direction of what you're looking for. It's attractive because you look at the guy like, okay, you're receiving what I'm saying, and then you're gonna help me to get to where I want. Sometimes when you're like too nice, you walk all over them by accident, in the sense that like you're trying to respect them, you're trying to be relatable with them, and then you're just like, okay, this is boring. Like we're just friends.
And then you get mad at them, right? Don't you get mad at them too? And then you treat them even worse. It's horrible. It's awful.
Yeah, you can. I wouldn't.
What do you mean? You get mad at them and treat them worse?
I don't get mad at them, but I get like annoyed because I'm like, I need like something. I need like you to kind of like navigate
step it up.
Yeah, like I need that, because sometimes when you're like so nice, it's like we're having a conversation and you become like my girlfriend at that point. It's like, yeah, girl, like this, kiki kaka, whatever. Like,
hey, girl.
Yeah, and it's like, girl, listen, like, don't listen to that. Like, you don't really want that. You just
got friend zoned, homie.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah.
But is it fair to say? I get it. We're doing the black and white thing again. Is it fair to say a woman would rather have a bit of a jerk and an asshole versus a super sweet nice guy?
Ugh.
Obviously, they don't want either.
I know.
Obviously, they don't want either.
Ask me 17 years ago. I would have given you a direct answer.
I think when you get a jerk and kind of an asshole, you get a little bit of a play. It's a little bit like fun.
Yeah. I think I would enjoy being around that more. In the beginning stages, I would definitely enjoy that more. Than
more
being
of the
around,
asshole
like, a nice
type.
guy.
Yeah, because girls are emotional. I would say like sassy. Like I think that word.
A sassy guy. Yeah, he's gay.
Yeah, but you asked.
I really like this guy. He's like really sassy.
He's gay. Because the asshole's more fun, and then that can bring out my playful side as well, where I can bite back and be a bit of an asshole too. Yeah. And if you can meet on that level, and then it's like how I used to play it when you gain. And this was my games that I would play. If I gained the respect of an asshole, where they're like, oh, okay, you got something too. then they toned down their assholeness and had respect for you, and then you can have fun with each other.
Yeah, and it's more attractive because you're like, oh, okay, I got this asshole to like, be a little nice to me.
Like me. Exactly.
It's hot.
I know.
Hot.
There you go.
I mean, and that's where the chase comes in. Doesn't mean it's anything after that. But listen, I always like to be around, or I feel more attracted to people that I don't get right away.
Yeah.
I can't get them to like me right away. I do have to work a little bit harder for it. Do I want an asshole? No. But somebody who isn't like right away charmed by me, yeah, I probably do like them a bit better.
Guys, take notes. Here's what's happening right here. Marni, last couple questions for you, then we'll wrap this bad boy up. And I'd love to do it again sometime.
Yes.
I would love to have you guys on my podcast because I think you guys would be wonderful.
Sure. Let's have some fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you noticed a correlation between the really nice guy who doesn't want to be a pushover and maybe like the sort of like the more of the jerk, aggressive, sassy type, and how much money they make?
Yes, for sure.
Really?
There's like a different level of, I mean, you could still be that sassy asshole type and make nothing, but I would say it definitely correlates with money from my experience for sure.
Because their confidence is different.
Yeah. So what is it? Is it their career? Is it just like their choices? Is it all the above?
I just think like where they are in life. They're just like, if they've had that confidence to get that money, they've also had that confidence in other areas of their life, like to get to where they are. Because so my husband's friends, my husband's 10 years older than me. And so they're all super successful. Most of his friends are in finance. But in the beginning, when I met him, they were just starting out in finance. I mean, they had money, but they didn't really have a lot of money. They still had those same attitudes. They may have just not been as nice to women as they are now.
Yeah, I mean, that's essentially what I'm solving for here, is that as a man, I say that like, I don't want to belabor the point, but in finance, there's red light, yellow light, green light. Like you go from being broke to having some money to being a wealthy investor, right? Just to kind of simplify it. But also that same correlation works in relationships. You're kind of this meek, soft guy, and you kind of develop some confidence, and you kind of have some game, and then you go from red light to yellow light, and then eventually you're like that competence of like being successful and making money.
Yes.
And you just kind of go up the ladder of status. You become this kind of green light man where you've got money and wealth and network and relationships and women want you, and that like you kind of got to graduate to that. And that's why it's so important to enroll in classes and courses and in consulting that things like Marni do and like what we do over here is so you can elevate not only your mindset, but your bank account, your, how much chicks you're getting, all that fun stuff. But there is a correlation. That's essentially what I was asking is these nice guys tend to be a little more broke, whereas like the more bad boys-ish tend to get the money.
Yeah, I think that is true. I will say, I mean, like a lot of my clients do happen to make a lot of money as well, but I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Okay. I just think like your value increases overall. The more confident you get, the more money you have, the more things you have, the more things you can do, the more experiences that you have. It's funny. So I just like 3 weeks ago, I just did like I guess partnership or a collaboration with, I don't know if you know Alpha M from YouTube. Yeah. So I just went to Atlanta. We filmed a whole bunch of videos together, like had a blast. But like what we did with these like typical nice guys is first we did a style makeover with them and just like bumped up their level with how they look. Cause listen, if your outside is amazing, it helps your inside. It totally does. And vice versa. And like if your look on the outside looks like I got my shit together, I have a little bit of money, I have confidence, like that helps your overall way of being. And in my practice, I send them off to a stylist, but I focus mainly on the inside stuff and then the skill sets. But for me, getting to see in person like how much of an impact style has, because I always forget that. It's amazing. Like when you can look a certain way, you can grow your confidence, and then the rest just keeps going up and up and up. So like it's all part of the package.
100% part of the competence leads to confidence, which leads to success, which leads to some sex. I
Yes.
just made that up.
It does. It totally does. It totally does.
That's awesome. Last question on my end, and then we'll kind of get into some super chats, and we'll wrap this bad boy up. So the flip side of the whole nice guy, bad boy situation, to put it on the female side of things, is like a lot of women doing the OnlyFans stuff these days, right? And like whether sex workers or, high class escorts, strippers, even sex workers, OnlyFans is a big thing. Are those types of girls wifey material in your perspective?
Oh God, I'm going to be gray again. I mean, it depends. Like, I'm sure a lot of these women. Okay, so I've done a lot of work with porn stars, with strippers. I've had a ton of them on my podcast. One of the co-hosts of my podcast used to be a porn star. And like, when I talk to them, when we're not on air, they're like every other girl that I've ever talked to. They have needs, they have wants, they're good people. Maybe some of them have like messed up backgrounds and baggage, but we all do. I wouldn't say don't marry somebody because that's what they do. They also, these people on OnlyFans, some of them happen to be like super driven, super intelligent. Like, I wouldn't knock somebody out.
You have a brother?
No, I don't have a brother.
You have any guy best friends that are single?
Guy best friends that are still single? No.
What about your sons? Would you let one of your sons? You have 2 sons, you said?
Yeah. Would you let
Yes,
would you let a family member or son
one of your
end
sons
up with these types of women?
I mean, obviously, I'm going to go back to the Judaism thing, right? So when I told my parents that I was marrying a Catholic who's half black, they were like, because in their ideal, right, of what that meant to them based on their experience was just no, that's not what you do. You marry within your religion, right? But then they got to know Jordan and they love him now. So I would probably try to take on the same attitude, but I would probably have some issue in some way that I probably wouldn't vocalize or put onto my son or to his potential partner.
Why wouldn't you vocalize
I'm just being real.
Why wouldn't you vocalize that? Like if your son came to you.
Because if I don't know what their relationship is. She may be the best choice for him. She may be super supportive. They may have a bond like no other. She just happens to do that for work where she shows her body to other people.
But essentially when a woman does that, doesn't that partially represent the husband or the boyfriend? Like if your son walks into a room,
that would be for the two of them to decide at the end of the day. Like same with my husband being confident in me being a wing girl for hundreds of thousands of men. He was not comfortable with it at first because he didn't know what it was. I was literally going out with dudes to bars and they were giving me money to hang out with them. That was uncomfortable for him at first. When he saw what I was actually doing, then he was extremely proud of me and supportive of me. Even though there's components of what I do that maybe don't make him comfortable, he's 100% supportive and he doesn't feel jealous in any way and trusts me. Same thing with OnlyFans people. Like, so this one woman who actually did a masterclass for us on how to pleasure a woman, did a masterclass for the wing girl method. She is a single mom who's on OnlyFans and she doesn't show her body a lot, but she answers questions from guys and she shows them a little bit. She's wears sexy clothes on there and she makes a full living from being on OnlyFans. I don't really have a problem with that. Maybe if it was somebody that was, I don't know how I would feel, to be honest, but okay. I think
way to be very diplomatic, Marni. Way to be very diplomatic. I appreciate.
I'm not trying to be diplomatic. I'm trying because I don't know how I would feel.
Yeah,
I like there might be certain pings in me where I'm bothered by it, but I would think like the more I got to know this, I would hope so. But if she was a horrible person too, I'd be like, no, break up with her. Like she's a horrible person, doesn't treat you well, and she, takes off her clothes for money. I don't like that. But that wouldn't be the reason that I would say for him not to be with her. It would be the other stuff.
Okay, let's we got some super chats that we'd like to give some shout outs to people. Thank you guys for listening. Let's answer some of these questions and read some of your comments real quick, and then we'll wrap this party up.
Yes, thank you guys for super chatting. We've got some good super chats today. So we've got Leon VRP $10. Thank you. He said, a woman doesn't have to like a man to love him. It's all about respect. A woman can't love a man without respecting him. Respect equals love. And then we've got another one by Matasuki. Will Marni ever go on Fresh and Fit? I think she might be a fun time to debate Myron, and I think Myron would be pretty polite to her. Would that be something you would consider, going on Fresh and Fit podcast?
Sure.
And then we have another one. It says,
why is he not usually polite to people? Is that why?
He has a certain podcast where maybe he's like a little bit more assertive to him. He has kind of like a similar tone to Andrew Tate. But you guys may agree with a few things, but I think you would disagree with a few things as well. So it may be interesting to see.
Maybe.
And then we have another one that says the problem from Leon as well. He said the problem is that people don't see the duty of marriage anymore. They want to stay 20 their whole life. Screw your sex life after 40. Children and legacy are one, and then people take responsibility.
By the way, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Leon.
I don't think it's at a certain age, this is what happens, but at a certain age, you do need to mature out of the college bachelor lifestyle and transition into more of a family man. But at some point, again, people age at different time frames.
And then we've got another person who kind of disagrees, and this is George. He says there's no benefits for men to get married nowadays. Fellas, get money and play the field. Don't get married. George, my guy.
Good old George.
I'm going to need you to rewatch the pod. And those are our super chats. So thank you guys for the super chats. We really appreciate it. And as you guys can see, our channel is growing. The Soscast, the Sauce Man, is growing this channel here. He's killing it right now. I think right now we've got 91,000, about to hit 92,000.
All right. We're about to hit 100K soon.
Yes.
And we're going to have a big party. Anyway, with that being said, Marni, this has been a lot of fun. This has been great. At the end of the show, we do something called the happy ending, where basically this is your opportunity to look in the camera, say whatever you want. You got tons of people watching. Plug something, say what you want to be known for. Give your final thoughts, your biggest message. You got it. Go ahead.
Okay. My biggest message is that the only way to get what you want is by asking for it and telling people that's what you want. That's my biggest message. And then if anybody wants to get more information from me, I have something that is called the F formula, which is a formula for flirting that teaches you step by step exactly how to flirt with women, going through the 3 phases of escalation that any man can follow and almost every single woman responds to. So go check out the F formula by going to theflirtmethod.com.
Awesome, Marni. And where can they find you other than that, socials and everything?
Oh, yeah. So go to winggirlmethod.com, sign up for my newsletters, and that will tell you where I am on all platforms for YouTube, for my podcast. It'll tell you everything from there.
Awesome, Marni. Thank you so much for being on. I'm sure
Thank you.
I will see you as soon as I open up YouTube. Your ads will pop right up.
Yes.
Which you're doing great on, by the way. So respect to you.
Thank you. Well, don't watch them. It's costing me money. Click out of it pretty fast.
Well, watching them made me say I'm very interested. Let's get her on the podcast.
So that's true. So thanks for having me on.
All right. We will, my booking team has your email. We'll get in touch as far as coordinating another episode or an interview on the other side of things. I think I'd like to have some more fun with you.
Yes.
I would love to have you guys on.
All right, we'll go start your date with Jordan and start drinking. That'd be great.
All right. Cool. Bye, guys.
We'll see
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Don't cut off the stream, by the way. You can cut off the stream, Jordan.
The Zoom.
Jaden, yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, let's wrap up. Guys, it's 6 o'clock here on the East Coast, Friday. We're almost done for the work for the day. I thought Marni was a very nice lady.
I thought so too. I liked her. She gave really good perspective. I think one of the things that I took away was she said sometimes you think that you know what you want and you say the things that you want. And sometimes in life, like, you realize that those things aren't deal breakers. And it's really a matter of like getting to know the person and like experiencing those moments with people. I think that was really crucial because sometimes we are like, I need someone to tell me how to do X, Y, and Z so I can have, the rest of what I want. And a lot of the time people don't have the answers. You have to just like go through it to find the answer. So I like that. I think that was really crucial because like when you ask people like, what are you looking for? What do you want? And they tell you and you're like, oh no, this is not going to work. You don't get a chance to really like get to know them. So I thought that was a really good perspective.
I thought it was very interesting that like she agreed with Tate most of the time. What she disagreed with was more of his tone and his tonality. So that was interesting. Even when I was like, listen, I think my boys give better referrals than women when they try to set me up. It's like, ugh, what are you doing? But my boys like, she's like, I agree with you. Women know what the hell they're doing. And what was her answer? Like women, they're kind of solving for a different equation. They're kind of already putting themselves in a different scenario or like-mindedness and relationship, romantic. And I was like, so there wasn't a lot of pushback. No. I tried.
Yeah, I know. But she understands. But I think also what she kept saying was that it depends what you want. It depends what you want. So like in general, like, yes, this is how like things may go, but you also have to consider like, how does it make you feel? And like, do you want to put up with that for the rest of your life? So those are really crucial for me.
All right, cool. Well, we're wrapping up.
Yes,
we're wrapping up the weekend. We've had, okay, let me wrap it. We've done, I'm going on, I don't know, like 4 hours of sleep.
You've been busy.
By the way, guys, thank you guys for watching. Let's just start with that. If you have not subscribed to VT Money, please subscribe. We're doing this every Thursday, Friday. We've had a crazy week here at Valuetainment. It's been such a long week. I don't remember what we did. Who was on the podcast Tuesday? PBD podcast.
PBD, we had a gentleman on.
I can't even remember. Last night, we did one of the most insane interviews we've ever done.
Bonkers.
With NFL player Antonio Brown. It was like a plane crash that was crashing, and then right as the landing was about to crash, we like kind of lifted the wings and then coasted and then just kind of floated along, and then we just kind of like ended up back in the air and I don't know what it was. Wild interview. Short clips are going to be coming out all week from PBD Podcast, on Valuetainment main channel, on Valuetainment short clips, VT Money. Insane interview.
Yeah.
Today we had Doug Ellen on the PBD podcast.
We had Chet Hanks earlier.
Okay, that's who it was on Tuesday.
Yeah.
We had, that feels like forever ago.
I know. But that was really good.
Chet Hanks was actually really good.
Yeah. Then we had Whitney
who's the son
Webb.
of Tom Hanks. Whitney Webb, who was
all the tea about
all
Epstein.
the Epstein stuff was insane.
Addressed.
And then this morning we had on Doug Ellen, who was the producer, writer, director, originator of Entourage 6 show. So watch that. And then who did we have on Soscast yesterday? We had Jordan Welsh and Mia Dio. That was awesome.
That was so awesome.
Wild week here at Valuetainment.
Super crazy.
I feel like a dozen podcasts. And you know what I'm about to do? I'm about to finish this cocktail, head home, and get me some sleep.
There you go. Take a little nap for your weekend.
But guys, thank you guys for being a part of us. We're doing this every week for you guys. We're here for you. And we appreciate you being along on the ride with us. We're only growing. We're only getting better. We're only delivering more value. We're only having more better guests, more better dope people, more stuff. Tune in next week. We've got two more shows. With some very I think Friday is the guy Destiny and possibly his wife, and then Thursday I got to check the schedule, but that'll also be a very interesting show.
Yes.
But we out here, we're doing things, and we appreciate you. We thank you guys for being a part of this. We'll see you guys next week on everything we do here at Valuetainment,
like,
PBD
comment,
podcast,
subscribe, share.
all that. We're gonna be hitting 100,000 subscribers. Within the next probably 30 days
be a
on
part
our
of the
channel
team.
that we started, 2 years ago. And we're ready to take over the world here at Valuetainment. So subscribe, get a part of what we're doing, be a part of the journey. And like what Marni said, the more confident you are, the more less of a nice guy you are, the more that you are assertive. She said herself, the more women you get, the more money you make, the more balls you got, the better your status in this world. So it all kind of comes together. That's why here on the Soscast and VT Money, we talk about where finance meets romance, because it all comes together to increase your status. That's it. We're out. We'll see you guys next week. Save that money.
See ya.
We out.